Welcome to the show. Today we're taking a look at something we all do. It's called overthinking. In terms of media and PR strategy, sometimes overthinking is could be our worst enemy, where instead of executing a plan that we have that can work, we end up overthinking and sometimes miss the bus or miss opportunities to help our companies, help our clients, and to do our best work. Sometimes we should go with our gut feeling because we have the tools necessary to execute a plan. And that might be a great plan, but sometimes overthinking makes you change that plan, possibly into a worse plan, right? So let's dive in. These are the 10 types of overthinking to look out for, according to experts. Overthinking is something that many people battle with, but there are various types to identify with, as noted by expert Nawal Mustafa. Overthinking is something we're all capable of doing from time to time. Whether we're recalling something we've said and debating whether we shouldn't have, or analyzing a situation and how it might affect our future. It's easy to get stuck in our own heads, playing out different scenarios and working ourselves up into a frenzy. We've all been there. I think we can all relate. But when it comes to overthinking, there are various types that can all affect us differently. And being able to identify how we're overthinking is key to moving past it. One person addressing this is Nawal Mustafa. The PhD candidate and popular Instagrammer took to the platform in 2022 to share her insights into the 10 types of overthinking. It is crucial for us to become aware of our thought patterns because they determine how we ultimately feel in a situation, she told her 844,000 followers. She's very popular. We'll get there soon. In the post, the first type of overthinking that Mustafa mentioned was mind reading, which she describes as when we jump conclusions by assuming we know what others are thinking. Oh, and by the way, when I said we'll get there, that will be with your help, dear listeners. Thank you for being here. She said, and I quote, "We may have an idea of what somebody or someone might be thinking, but it can become an irrational thought when we tend to lean towards the negative interpretations instead of positive," she writes. Worrying about the future is another type of overthinking, according to Mustafa, which she says is also known as fortune telling. Fortune telling, think about that. Worrying about the future is fortune telling. That's deep. We may jump to conclusions by processing the worst case scenario and negative what ifs when we have no evidence to back our predictions, she says. Next up, Mustafa highlights mental filtering as a type of overthinking, focusing on the negative aspects of a situation while disqualifying all the positives. For example, dwelling on a single negative comment from a boss and ignoring all their other positive feedback. We've all been there. This was followed by emotional reasoning, which she describes as assuming that our negative emotions reflect the truth. Our feelings are a reflection of our thoughts. But as you can evaluate through this post, our thoughts are not always true, she claims. While it's common to overthink about the future and what might happen, people can also overthink things that have already taken place in the past, things we can't change. Rumination about the past is basically to constantly repeat the memory of an event in the past that was upsetting, hurtful, or even embarrassing, says Mustafa. This can be through shaming, and criticizing yourself for a mistake you made by replaying the scenario in your mind over and over. Other types of overthinking highlighted in the post included using should statements when we focus on how things should be based on the unrealistic expectations we have for others or ourselves. Overgeneralizing and drawing a faulty conclusion about something based on one experience and giving yourself a label because of a negative experience you had, and getting stuck in a negative thought loop. This usually leads to low self-worth, she warns. Hopelessness is also noted as a sign of overthinking, as you fixate on a thought based on a circumstance to the point that you may start to truly believe it, along with having an all or nothing way of thinking, where you only evaluate yourself or others in extreme black or white categories. Hands up if you're one of those. We're right there with you. It is important to regularly challenge our unhelpful thoughts and catch ourselves when we are overthinking, Mustafa captioned the post. She's dead on. When you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, I encourage you to take a few minutes to recognize what thoughts you're having and whether they fall under one of the cognitive distortions listed here. She then advises people to try and reframe these thoughts into more realistic ones. This practice can tremendously benefit the way we show up for ourselves at work and in relationships. Very powerful, very moving, great advice. We couldn't agree with her more. Hey, to support the channel, please head over to buymeacoffee.com/SamsonKing. We'll throw the link up in the description. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.